Phoenix Suns have been in active trade negotiations on Kevin Durant with the following teams over the past 24 hours per Shams: the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, the Houston Rockets, the Spurs, and the Timberwolves. A trade will be done ahead of the 2025 NBA Draft on June 25th. Let's get into the video.
Shay, I'm told there is traction around trade scenarios for Kevin Durant, and there are some teams that are motivated to get this deal done sooner rather than later. And now this could be something that lingers closer to the NBA draft. Could you get it done a day or two before that June 25th draft? Potentially, but there is motivation on some sides. And the focus of the Suns conversations as of the last 24 hours has been around the Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Minnesota Timberwolves, Miami Heat, and the New York Knicks. And Durant is on an expiring contract for upwards of $50 million. So it's going to be the risk reward of needing him and seeing his buy-in to whatever team you are, and you hope that he wants to be long-term.
So this is going to be very interesting. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns are going to be working with Kevin Durant. However, the Phoenix Suns are still going to do what's best for them. The Miami Heat are reportedly reluctant to include Khalil Ware in a trade for Kevin Durant via 5 reasons. Shout out to those guys over there, and shout out to Ethan. I understand why. We finally have a big. Why on earth do we want Bam Adebayo to go back to the 5, which we already know he doesn't want to play the 5? Khalil Ware was phenomenal last season with the Jimmy Butler trade and really only playing, 40 games? I mean, so can you imagine what he's going to look like once he hits the weight room, once he really has that Heat culture in him, and once the coaching staff really works with him during the offseason? We need a big like him. Having Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, and Khalil Ware on the floor at the same time, where you have versatility, size, strength, that's exactly what you need for success on any team. I don't care what it is, but there is no excuse for the Miami Heat to continue to play small, be out-rebounded, and have less athleticism when you can force the Phoenix Suns to go get a big from somewhere else. But we are not going to give up Khalil Ware at all. Now let's get into this Giannis Antetokounmpo rumors per Shams.
Antetokounmpo, from what I'm told, his status will not be tied to the NBA draft. It won't be tied to free agency. It's much more likely that his future plays out into July and into August in terms of him seeing the landscape of not only the Bucks, seeing the landscape of the league, seeing what other teams do. I mean, listen, when you're a star of that caliber, the league moves how you want it to move. The league will move when you're ready to ask for a trade, or if you're ready to then say, I'm staying. I want to be back. Of course, around the league, there is a level of skepticism because Giannis Antetokounmpo has been loyal. He's been there 12 years. His brand is all about loyalty right now. So there's a level of skepticism. Does he really go through with it? There's a difference between being open-minded and, from what I'm told, exploring other options. Actively exploring other options. There's a difference between doing that and asking for a trade.
There's a difference between being open-minded and, from what I'm told, exploring other options. Actively exploring other options, there's a difference between doing that and asking for a trade. He's in the process of figuring out what he wants to do. Now, that does not sound convincing by any means. Once again, think about it. Damian Lillard, he's not going to be playing next season. That is $50 million of dead money. You're going to have teams that are going to be willing to trade for Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis. Giannis sees the writing on the wall. However, the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to handicap Giannis. Why? Because they're going to try to gut the other team. They're going to want to take the coach, 5 first-round picks, 5 young players, and then what is Giannis going to be left with? Pretty much what he's left with in Milwaukee. So that's the issue. He does want to stay in the East, which I don't blame him because the East is wide open. Yes, you have the Pacers. Yes, you have Cleveland. But other than that, you really don't have to worry about too many teams in the East compared to the West. The West is fully loaded from 1 through 5. It's going to be a bloodbath. So at the end of the day, what does Giannis want? But then also, too, what are the Milwaukee Bucks? Are they going to be able to work with Giannis to formulate a trade? You also have Bobby Marks, who ranks the Heat the 4th best of the Kevin Durant potential teams. Miami, I'm never going to rule out anything, but if you're looking at the other 3 teams, I'm putting them behind them. Listen, if Durant says I want to go to Miami, that changes a lot here, and that's the thing. You know, you have all these other teams where they're going to have better trade packages, and maybe they're going to be willing to give maybe 1 or 2 extra first-round picks or a young guy, whatever it might be, to beat out everyone else. All this comes down to is, does Kevin Durant want to be in Miami and play with Tyler and Bam? Yes or no? If he's not going to say that or try to push his way to Miami, we are wasting our time. People are pretty much saying he's already a Spur as is. But let's get into these Jaylen Brown rumors with the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are seeking 4 first-round picks in exchange for Jaylen Brown. The Celtics are willing to listen to trade offers for Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Are teams making big offers and calling about Jaylen Brown and Derek White? 100%. The Celtics prefer not to trade them, from my understanding. But listen, if there's a big enough offer, they're going to look at everything. And I think they're going to get, offers on 3 guys, at least for sure. They're focused on. They're going to get offers potentially on Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And I think between now and the draft and free agency, they're going to evaluate what makes sense from a value perspective. Now, I think Porzingis and Jrue Holiday, they're gone. Because, bro, their payroll is insane. You already know that Tatum is not going to be playing next season. I don't think they're going to trade Jaylen Brown or Derek White. You're going to need both of them to keep the Boston Celtics afloat until Tatum gets back. But this is very interesting, and this is why I continue to tell guys, no one is off limits. Anyone can be traded. And this is why you have to be ready, and every decision you make is so important because you don't know who might become available. And that's why asset management is huge. You need the first round picks, and you got to be able to have at least 1 or 2 young guys to put in any deal to help improve your team going forward. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, and thank you for all the support.